Times. Welcome back. I'm Zandy. It's a brow tutorial. Let's get into it. So I'm taking my Morphe 148 brush and I'm using my Anastasia Dipbrow in the color Ebony. I'm going to take my brush and just dip it in a little bit. And you always want to wipe off the excess because a little of this product goes a long way. So I use the spoolie side to kind of comb my brows up just a little bit. And make sure you lift your brows up so you know when to line it. And I'm just going to line it right underneath. Like this. Ew. So I got some right there and I didn't want them right there. So I'm going to take a Q-tip and just wipe it on off. And keep moving. And I kind of shaded it in from the bottom. Just doing like that. And if it looks too dark, don't worry. We're going to blend it in later. Now, on the bottom, I started from right here, but on top, I'm going to start tracing it from like right here. Because we don't want our brows to be too harsh. And you really have to learn which brow shape works for you. It took me a minute to get it. Especially since I have little to no hairs. You see there's a harsh line right here, so we're going to flip it over and use our spoolie to just brush that in. Just shade in the sparse areas. Now I'm not happy with my arch right here, so I'm gonna just kind of form it with the Q-tip, and the Q-tip takes some of the product off. This is a great alternative if you don't want to conceal your brows, because I don't conceal my brows all the time. And if you feel like you went too high, just get the Q-tip and just sweep some of it off. And I'm just take the excess off the brush and just kind of shade this in. All right. Same thing we did on the last side. Lift your brow up. And for here, because it's weird, I start in the middle. And then I go to the end. Like that. All right. So I carved off the bottom line, and then I'm gonna just fill it in a little. Basically dragging the product from the bottom line up. And then I'll go ahead and carve the top out. And then just tracing the top a little. We don't need a lot of product. So I'm going in here. From the middle. And then working my way towards the front of the brow. So I like using the Anastasia Dipbrow as just the base. I like to set my brows with a dark eyeshadow so it won't get all oily and shiny throughout the day. So I take another spoolie brush and I dip it in this dark brownish eyeshadow like that. And I just like to sweep it in my brow. It not only sets your brow, but it also makes it your brow darker. So you have to be mindful of how much you want. Now you can leave them like these if you're going for like a more natural look, but if you want them to pop, then you could just go ahead and conceal around them. So to conceal my brows, I'm going to use this Maybelline Age Rewind concealer. If you're a beginner, I recommend using a thinner concealer. That way if you have to go back and trace it, it'll be less difficult for you. But I'm going to just take this Morphe M705 brush in this concealer, and I'm just put a little bit on the tip of the brush. And when we're tracing under the brows, you want to lift your brows up. And just lightly tap it. We're going a little. You want to be careful in this stage because you can really mess up the shape of your brow by painting over it. And I'm gonna just let this sit right here while I go ahead and do the bottom of the other one. And for this one, because it's a little difficult getting the beginning of this brow right, I'm gonna under trace it going forward. This whole shape on this side has to be completely fabricated because my natural brow is just like, I have no natural arch. I barely have hairs up here, so for some of you who have struggle brows like me, you really gotta get creative when you drawing them on. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the top, and I like to use the same color that I use on the bottom, and then I go over it with foundation later. So I'm gonna just do the same. And just trace it lightly. Right there. Be careful not to chop off where you drew it, because then you got to go back and draw it, and I think I did it right here, and that's why I recommend to use a thinner concealer. For right here, I'm gonna start at the arch because I don't want to mess up the arch. Let's go. And for the top, you want to blend right away. For the bottom, I'm letting it sit because it really don't matter. But for the top, you really want to blend it right away because the more it stays, the more it really covers, and it's harder to get rid of the halo brow effect. So I'm gonna just take my brush and just blend it outwards. And this is the other side of the same concealer brush we've been using. I'm just blending this upwards. And after I blend that out a little, I take this foundation brush. And it has a little bit of leftover foundation on it, which is fine. And I just take this and we're gonna go right over it. And I use this after I apply my foundation to really go over my brows, the top of the brows with foundation, just so we don't get that halo effect. Okay, so once that looks decent, you can go back to the bottom and to blend the bottom. I'm just gonna blend that downwards like that. Alright, once we have the concealer all blended, I like to go up and look and see if I'm happy with the shape. Alright, and that's my brow process.